Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me today on our ongoing virtual Lunch and Learns. Hopefully we can teach you something good today. Hopefully you guys are staying safe and healthy out there and ready to learn about CMAs today. So I'm going to go over the CMA and Paragon, and I think if I have time, I'm going to probably show you guys really quick, maybe like a Realist CMA feature where you guys can get comparables at least for that through Realist and you know, maybe even HomeSnap. So let's go ahead and get into it here. It's 11 o'clock. We don't have much time. There's a lot to cover. So if you guys have any questions, just go ahead and type them in the question box there, and then we'll get to those at the end of the webinar. I'll have some time there for you guys to get your questions answered and everything. But to keep it going, let's just wait until the end. You can type them in as I'm going, but I'll get to those at the end. Okay, so CMAs within Paragon. I'm on the home page right here. I'm going to go ahead and navigate up to CMA, and we're going to go down to create presentation. It's pretty straightforward though when you guys are doing CMAs in here. I mean, it has on the left-hand side, you have all your steps, so you can collapse these menu options. You can see all the general steps. Step 1, subject property. Step 2, comparables. Step 3, adjustments. Step 4, page layout. Step 5, presentation setup. And step 6, view presentation. So you're just going to start at the top here and just go down the list. So step 1, I have presentation name. So let's go ahead and name this Awesome CMA Webinar. Okay, we're just going to go ahead and, for lack of better words, I'm horrible at naming stuff, so I just come with the first thing that comes to my mind, and it's so generic. So I have my CMA presentation name. I can hit continue, or I can hit subject property. So to make it simpler, I'm just going to go ahead and hit continue. So now you have your subject property. You guys can create a new subject property. You guys can load a subject property, or you can use an existing MLS listing. So I don't know what's better. Usually I like to say, let's just create a new subject property and start with that. You guys can load a subject property if you want to, or you can do the MLS listing. But you know, for the webinars, I like to show you guys what it looks like when you create it from scratch. So let's go ahead and just create a new subject property here. Once I click on that, it's going to ask me to select a class. So what class is your listing going to be in? And I'm going to select residential for this again as a just for the webinar. So it's going to look just like your guys' listing input. So it's just like you're putting in a regular listing into the MLS. You're going to go through and you're going to put in all the required fields in order to save it as a subject property. So what I'm going to try to do though is I'm going to just try to tax autofill one of these listings here. And that's just going to bring in some information because I don't want to go through and put all this in. So we're going to just go ahead and do a tax autofill. So I'm going to go down to Montrose. If you guys haven't used tax autofill before, this will be a good tutorial on how to use that. I just go up to tax autofill. I can now select the owner last name, and I can get in a listing from there. So let's just, I don't know, I'm just going to see if there's, again, there's going to be tons of properties with the owner's last name of Smith. So all I have to do is just put in the owner's last name, and I have to put in, I don't have to, or I could put in a tax ID. So Smith might be a little too broad because I'm probably going to get a million listings here. So, all right, so let's just not do that. Let's just do Fallis here. So, because I know that he has a house here in Montrose, so, and there's not too many Fallises around here. So I'm just gonna go ahead and find that property from the tax records, and I'm gonna import information into the listing so I don't have to type it in. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do this one. Once I find the property that I like, I'm gonna select it. It's gonna highlight green, and I'm gonna hit my autofill button. Okay, so now it brings me back to my listing input, and now I can decide if I want to import all this data or if I just want some of it. My internet seems to be going a little bit slow, but so I have a couple of, you know, data points that I can import in. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. And now I should be good to go on this. And now I have to select my area though. So when you're doing the subject property, it's just like you guys are, just inputting a regular listing. Just go through and fill out all the information you have on the listing. We're just going to go ahead and put a price in here for the heck of it. Let's just say we're going to do it for $350. Okay. So I have all the information. You guys can come through here and just put in anything that you guys need. Once you guys get that filled out, you're just going to hit Save Subject Property. And once we hit Save Subject Property, it's going to take you back to this little preview. I don't have an image uploaded, but you guys might, so you guys can upload that image if you want to. If you guys come back in here and you're like, hey, I forgot to add something into that subject property, well, just navigate back over to this Subject Property tab, and then up in the blue tab, you'll be able to hit Edit. So you'll notice when I do, for the first time, I put all the information, I hit Save, it takes me to this layout. Now, if I hit Edit again, what's going to happen is it's going to take me back into my listing input, and now you're going to see these purple C's here. These purple C's are going to be if you want to convert it to an actual MLS listing. So you don't have to re-input the information if you do, say, get the listing. So what you're going to do is if you want to have this saved as an MLS number, you're just going to have to make sure that all of these green or purple, not green, purple C's are filled out in order for it to allow you to save it as an MLS number. You're going to have to fill out all of those purple C's. You can also get to your subject properties over here underneath CMA and go down over to the right column all the way to the bottom is going to be maintain subject properties. So then that's going to give you a list of all your subject properties, okay? It's just like the maintain partial listings, but it's actually called subject properties. So you can convert those over. You don't have to go and re-input the listing over here. You can convert those once you get that saved and you're ready to go. So again, you guys can come in here, edit any information that you need. If you forget something, you can do all of that. So I've already completed presentation name and subject property. So now we can just move on to the client. So I go to the client, select a client, client information. Do I want to create a new client or do I want to select a client from a contact list? So if you don't have them in your Paragon account, you're going to want to hit the green plus sign, create new contact. If you do, you can select them from your contact list in Paragon. So for this one, what if I, this was going to be for Jane Doe. I have 2 Jane Does, but maybe it's this Jane Doe that I have in there for. So I'm going to hit OK. And now it has me saved, this CMA saved to my contact. So it's pretty nifty too, because you can go to your contacts. So now if I go up to contacts and go to view and manage contacts, that CMA is going to be tied to that Jane Doe, whichever one it was. I have 2 of them in here. So let's see if I can figure out which one is the one that, there we go. It's not that one. So it wasn't that Jane Doe, it was this Jane Doe. Okay, so now, oh, I haven't saved it yet. But once you save this CMA, it will be in your contacts folder underneath the CMA. So you guys can always refer back to that CMA by going to the contacts as well, okay? So I have my client. Now, step 2 is the comparables. So there is a couple of different ways to add comparables. They're all going to be through Paragon though, and it's not going to automatically find them. And that's why later I'm going to probably touch base a little bit on the realist side of CMAs because they actually find properties for you. Whether or not those properties are going to be the ones you're looking for, that's another story. But nonetheless, realist will find those comparables for you. So I'll show you that in a little while. But if you're using the comparable program out of Paragon, it's gonna need you to find them manually. So right when I hit add comparable, it's gonna bring me to this screen and it's gonna say, okay, do you wanna find it in residential, land? Do you guys wanna add them by a specific MLS number? Do you have a listing cart that you wanna put those comparables in? So you're gonna have to find those manually. So if I hit residential, it's gonna take me to the search. and then I'm going to be able to type in my criteria to what my you know, comparable properties are going to be. So you're going to have to put in the statuses, or status. We're going to do active, or maybe even sold. Maybe we want to look at sold listings, right? So we do sold, type, stick built. Let's say it's in Montrose. And let's say the price between 300 and 400, just because. And then, you know, you can start typing in all of these, you know, different fields here. So now I have 31 listings. So you guys will be doing this. I don't really go into what you need to be looking for. I know the program, I know how to get you there, but I do rely on you guys to know how to find your guys' comparables. I'll show you how to find them, but you guys need to know what you're looking for. So I hit search now. And now I'm going to have all of my different listings. I can now filter through all of these and decide which ones I want to add to the CMA. So if I want to add, you know, these first 5, I can just start checking these little boxes over to the left, and then I will add these to my CMA. And you can do that by hitting the green box up here in the top left, add to CMA. So I want to add my selected listings. I could just add all of them. I mean, if you guys have that list and you guys just want to add all of those listings, then just go ahead and select that button, or you can just add the current listing. But I'm going to add the selected and select next. So now I come back to my CMA, and now it's here. There is another way. If you guys don't want to go through the CMA, you guys can just do a search through either the search icon up here, or however else you're going to be searching through Paragon. I'm going to show you when you're on a search, you can add them directly from the search. So if I just pull up these new listings here really quick, I can highlight from my search here, and I can add them to my CMA just from doing like a regular search. So if I just select a couple of these, I can go up here to actions, and now my drop-down menu, the 4th one down, 5th one down, says add to CMA. So I'll just click on add to CMA, and then I will have my selected. And now down here it says, what do I want to do? Do I want to add these to a new CMA or to a saved CMA? So I hit add to saved CMA, hit select, and now I have all of my CMAs in here that I have saved in my system. So Awesome CMA Webinar is going to be right there. So if I wanted to add them to it, I would just select it, and voila, takes me to my CMA. This is a little glitchy. If it takes you back here and it does this, just go out of it, just click somewhere else on one of these other steps, and then go back into it, and then they'll show up. I promise they will. It's just kind of, and they're right here, these 3 land ones. But I don't want those ones. I just wanted to show you guys how you can add those just by doing like a regular search. So we're going to delete those guys, and we're going to continue on. All right, so I have my comparables in there. If I need to come back and add them straight through the CMA, I definitely can. Up here at the top, I have my little add button, and that will take me back to my add select source. So now I can either put in a new like an MLS number, or I can do an address search, or I can just do another regular residential or land search. Whatever you guys need to do to find those comparables, you can by just hitting that add button up there in the blue tab there. Okay, so I just want to show you guys that again. Go out. If in doubt, always just go onto a different step and go back into it, and that will kind of reset things. I know this CMA program in Paragon can be a little iffy sometimes. You could be working and something will happen, and then you'll be like, hey, what the heck was that about? It's unfortunate, but 2 things I can always tell you is just do what I did right there. If you're on a screen that's not doing what you need to do, just go out and just click on a different little menu option and go back into it. Okay? So that's step 2, comparables. Pretty easy. Find your properties, put them in there, and then you're on to step 3. So adjustments. Step 3, adjustments. The first thing that they're going to have you do is calculated adjustments. These aren't required. and they're a little, they need work. It can be a little bit confusing because you get to this page and nothing shows up and you're like, hey, what's that about? Well, we can go over here and hit features. So change numeric to features. And now it's going to give you all of the different features that we have in Paragon. So what calculated adjustments do is it gives you the ability to say, hey, I know that a swimming pool or, you know, something like that, or a freezer or a dryer or whatever that's in that property is worth a certain amount every time. So if I said, okay, let's say I'm just going to say washer again. I don't know if this will make sense to anybody, but I'm just trying to show you guys the functionality of it. So I have appliance inclusions, it's a washer. So I know that anytime a property has a washer in it or it needs a washer, it's going to be about, you know, let's do $1,000. So I have $1,000 here. So now anytime I wanted to use this in my adjustments, I can just go and find this feature and I can put it in there and it's automatically going to calculate the $1,000, the value that you put in here. So you guys can come through these adjustments and you guys can make these automatically to a certain value every time you want to use it, so you don't have to keep doing it. So I am going to move on because calculated adjustments are, I don't think they're being used as much and they're kind of iffy sometimes. So I like to focus on just the regular adjustments. This is where you guys can come in here and make adjustments to your properties, to the comparables. You're never going to make adjustments to the subject property. It's always going to be to the comparable property. So for instance, this one right here is kind of a good example. Once I click on my adjustments, I have my subject property on the left and my comparable on the right. I can switch through all of my comparable properties by hitting the next and previous comp buttons up here in the top right-hand corner. So if I wanted to adjust the value of this based on my subject property, my bedrooms right here is a good example. There's my subject property has 3, my comparable property has 2. I need to add a bedroom to my comparable in order for it to match up with my subject. So let's say, again, I don't know pricing, but say a bedroom adds $5,000. I'm going to add $5,000 to this property so it matches my subject property. And then once I hit to another, once I click onto another like adjustment field, you'll see my price down here fluctuate based on my price that I put up here. So right now it's at 305. If I took that out, it's going to go down to 300,000. But again, we're going to go ahead and do 5,000 here. So then total bathrooms, I know this isn't correct, but if it was like 2 and this was 1, I would need to take away a bathroom in order to match my subject. So you can subtract, say a bathroom is worth $2,500, you're going to want to subtract $2,500 from the subject or from the comparable property to match that subject. And subtract, you put a minus in front of your number. So now my price will be reflected down here again, 3,025. So you guys can come through here and make these adjustments based on your subject property and what the comparable property has. Adding, don't put anything in front of it, just the number. Subtracting, make sure you put that minus in front. And then I can switch through again my next comps, my previous, everything like that. I can make a manual adjustment. So if I have an adjustment that I need to make that's not in Paragon, I can select manual adjustment. And now I can describe what it is. So if it's a pool, whatever, I can say pool. And my calculated adjustment that I already saved already subtracted 5,000 from that. But if it was, you know, like a, let's just say a dog fence. I know that's not in Paragon. So if this property had a dog fence and this one didn't, then you would want to subtract or add accordingly. So you guys can add those adjustments. You guys can do your calculated adjustments. You guys can bring in fields. This is where you're going to do all your adjustments in the CMA. Okay, step 4 is going to be page layout. I'm kind of running out of time here, so I'm just going to kind of go a little bit faster. Page layout's kind of simple. You're just going to choose your theme. You can look through modern, vivid, traditional, elegant, contemporary, and basic. Find the one that looks best for you. And then now you can do your footer and your disclaimer. Would you want to use a footer? Do you want to use a disclaimer? Pretty straightforward, simple there. Step 5 is going to be the meat of the presentation. This is going to be where you add in all the stuff you want to include into your CMA. You guys can rearrange these. You guys can decide what you want in here by selecting the little boxes to the left. Anything is checked is going to be shown up. If you wanted, say, I want the map up here underneath the cover letter for whatever reason, you can drag and drop these accordingly to show up how you want them to be. So all I have to do is just click and hold on map. Oh, never mind. I'm on a Mac, so it's a little bit different. So if I click and hold that map, it's going to show me that little green kind of bar is going to show me where I can drop that. So now the map is underneath there. So I can drag and drop any of these little, pages anywhere where I want them to be. Okay, so then I can't go through all of these, but if you click on them, it's going to tell you what it is, what it needs. It needs information. You have your cover page. So you're going to have to go through these and find out if you want to include these in your presentation. The comparable report is going to be probably the most common one that you're going to be putting into your CMA. Just to make sure that you guys are aware, once you put in this comparable report, you're going to want to customize the fields that you want to show on your CMA here. So click here to customize CMA field preferences. Most people will think that over here on the comparables, step 2, these fields will show up in the CMA. This is for internal use. This is for your reference. This will not show up in the CMA. You have to adjust what you want in the CMA underneath step 5, your comparable report. So now once I click here, it's going to give me all the fields, and then I sort and I add and remove what I want to be shown on that CMA here. Okay? So just take that into note. That's the most common call I get is, hey, I added fields to my comparables, but not shown on my CMA. It's most likely because you were adding them in step 2 and not step 5. Okay? So again, you guys can come through here and just select which ones you guys want to include in your CMA. Decide what pages you want, what order you want, how you want them to look, and then you're going to go to step 6. But before we head to step 6 to generate this, I want to make sure you guys are aware you can upload documents from your computer and add them to the CMA. So down here at the bottom it says upload document. So I can hit that little upload document button. I can select my file. Just be aware of the requirements, document file size, the special characters in the document, and the document format. So we only allow PDFs. It has to be underneath 20 megabytes in size, and the file name can't include any special characters, okay? So just be aware you can upload these. All you're gonna do is choose the file and then have a name for it, and then hit save, and it will show up underneath your step 4 or step 5 presentation setup, okay? Step 6 is going to be view presentation. So once you guys go through all of the steps, you're going to generate that CMA. Depending on how many pages you have in here and all the information, it could take, 1 to 5 to 10 minutes to generate this. Usually I see it within the 1 to 3 minute range for it to generate. Internet connection can have a say in that, but mine just loaded pretty quick and I have about 4 pages. So once we go here, I can decide if I like this, if I do not like my CMA, or if I need to change something, the layout, or I don't want to include a page, anything like that. I'm going to have to go through and regenerate this after I click on my pages again. So for instance, say I didn't want to do the comparable property statistics. Well, I'm going to uncheck that page, and now I have to regenerate that presentation. And then that page will be removed. Okay, so once you get to step 6, you can now use all of the blue tab icons to do what you need with it. If you need to just save it and come back to it, you can email it. You guys can print and download this. You're going to use it, the download tools over here on the right, that will show you how to download it. It's the second one right here. So that will download your presentation for you. Okay, so now you can look through it. You can decide whether you want to save it, email it, print it, download it, or you guys can go back and edit anything that you need. Okay, so that was a little it was quick, but you guys can get through this if you take a little bit of time to go through these steps. It's a little wonky at times, but like I said, if you're having issues, usually the best method is just go click on a different page and then go back into it. It'll kind of reset things. Make sure you're always saving it. That's another recommendation, is anytime you make a change, just head up to that little save icon and just save it, just to make sure. It's supposed to automatically save, but sometimes things don't do what they're supposed to. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys Realist really quick, just so you guys are aware. I did a webinar on this a while ago, a little bit more in depth, but you guys can find comparables in Realist. So I'm going to head up to the tax icon. I'm going to go to Realist Tax Search, and I'm just going to search for a property in Realist. And I'm going to show you guys how you can, I'm going to switch this to Montrose here really quick. I'm just going to basically do a search. So again, you guys are going to have to do the criteria over to the left. I'm going to just type in a subdivision that I know of, and that will have comparable properties. So I'm just going to search for a subdivision really quick, find those results. I have 141 matches in here, so I should be able to find some comparables pretty easy here. If you guys haven't used Realist, again, like I said, I did a couple of webinars a while back on it. And also I'll probably be doing more. If you guys need help, reach out to me. But I just did a quick search out of Realist. I'm going to find a property, say this is the property that I need to find comparables on. I'm going to go and click on Report. And now up at the top, you'll see a bunch of tabs, property details, and the second one is called comparables. I'm just going to click on comparables. And now it should, out of all theory, give me comparable properties for that property. Might take a minute based on, again, internet speed, how many properties there are, your settings, stuff like that. So hopefully I can get this to load really quick here though. Perfect. So I got it to load. I have my subject property is the black pen, and then I have all these different comparables here. So you guys can now filter through all of these comparables and decide if you want to use them, and decide by, you know, unchecking these if you don't want to use any of these ones that are kind of far away, but they're still, I mean, I guess comparables. So I don't know, what if you just want to show the first 3 properties, because these are all kind of in the same kind of area here. So I have 3 comparables. I can now just hit Generate Report down here in the bottom right-hand corner. And now it's going to give me this nice, it's not extensive like it would be in Paragon, but you're going to have some information on these properties and the comparables. So I have my map up at the top. I have my search criteria, and then I have my summary statistics. So I have my subject property, my high, low, median, average, and then all this other stuff, price per square foot, bedrooms, all that. And now I can see the difference in between the subject property and the comparables. And now I can print this, I can email it, so you can do all that stuff out of Realist as well. So you can print this and show it to your client, or email it over to yourself and have that for a reference, whatever you guys need to do there. But you can see that was a couple of quick clicks. I got into Realist, did my search, found my property, and hit comparables, and it's already going to find me those comparable properties. So, and this is, again, pretty useful too, because it searches for tax records and MLS data. So you're going to be finding properties that may not be in the MLS as well to use as those comparables. So we blew through that pretty quick. CMA, it's a lot to cover in 30 minutes, but we're going to definitely stay with our time frame there. If you guys have any questions on this, definitely let me know. I can set up a one-on-one or go over it a little bit slower, or whatever you guys need there. Reach out to me. If you guys have any questions, I have a couple of minutes to stay on the line. Otherwise, thank you guys for joining me again. Stay safe and healthy out there, and we'll see you next week. I'll post another webinar sign up for next week's. Don't know exactly what it's going to be on yet, but we'll get that one squared away kind of towards the middle to end of the week. So thanks for joining me, guys. Have a good day out there, and let me know if you ever need anything. Oh. Place the mess back here. Filtering through all this stuff. Okay. There we go. All right, looks like there's no questions coming through, so I'm gonna let you guys go. Thanks again for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you next week.